Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pete's Epic Golf Podcast. Join golfer Pete as he interviews international and local golf experts and enthusiasts. Golfer Pete's guests are looking to share how his audience can improve their golf game by improving their mindset, skill set, and gear set. We ask our experts to share their practical tips on golf in one or more of these three core areas. Golfer Pete created his podcast as a resource for anyone who loves golf. Join Golfer Pete as he asks the questions we all need answers to in order to improve our golf game.
Okay, I want to welcome everybody to the first and then the inaugural golf podcast. It's supposed to be Atlanta, but I brought in some ringers here two from Asheville and one from Rock Hill, South Carolina. This is actually a foursome. We played numerous times up in Asheville, so I thought, what a better way to bring in a golf podcast than a couple ringers. So my name's Pete Kane, and I'm glad to be with you here. Up there, I'm going to let you introduce, we got the Browne brothers, and we got my brother up in Rock Hill. So let's go from left to right. Tim, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience, and then we'll go down to Steve and then Trip.
Hey, welcome everyone. It's Tim Browne from Asheville, North Carolina. Glad to be here this morning.
Awesome. Steve, you're on.
Yep, I'm Steve Kane and Pete's older brother, and I'm in Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is just a bedroom community of Charlotte. A lot of golf courses in this part of the country, but looking forward to engaging and telling you all about these golf stories I've got planned for you.
And the ringer in the foursome is the last, but it's Trip Browne. He's just come off beating one of the pros up there in Asheville. We're not going to tell him what course, but Trip, you're on.
Hey, I'm Trip Browne, Asheville, North Carolina. Also, Tim's older brother.
Glad and he's probably the most consistent player that I play with. So don't let this modesty hold you back. Okay, so we're going to go to Trip. You're going to go first on this one. What is your philosophy towards golf?
Well, I think it's kind of changed over the years, but mostly, I think mostly to have fun and be out there with your buddies. And, like, I guess the four of us, we've had rounds together for over, going close to 50 years now. So, it's a good lifetime sport to be able to stay with whether it's your siblings or your friends, and to still hang in there.
That's awesome. Steve, I know you might have a different take on it because I'm your younger brother, and beat you occasionally, not all the time. But Steve, what's your philosophy on golf?
Well, I started golf when I was 12 years old. I found a set of Northwestern junior golf clubs in the back of my dad's trunk when we were out getting bricks from an old house in Asheville. And around that time is when we met the Brownes right up the street on Greystone Road. And from there, we just started to play occasionally, and then we got really involved, and then played in some of these junior tournaments together. My philosophy is, you hear about these articles, 85% in your head. I think that's the case most of the time, but the technology has changed so much that the clubs now are so forgiving. So it makes it, like Trip said, a lot more fun to play.
Awesome. Tim, what would you add to it on your philosophy of golf?
Well, a lot of the same. I think it's a long walk with good friends, and golf can sometimes get in the way. But I know the four of us, we've been playing together, like Trip said, 50 plus years. And it's a great sport that you can take into your later life, where a lot of sports you have to be sidelined with age or injuries.
Yep.
And it's just a gentleman's sport that promotes great teamwork, great camaraderie, and also great exercise for those who walk. But awesome. So it's something I think all four of us will take to our graves.
Awesome. I'm going to go back to Trip on this one. So, and you guys can be thinking, what's the best advice that you've received in golf, Trip, over the years?
Oh boy. I would say, just to try to make solid contact with the ball, don't get too caught up in the technical side, and just let it, just let it flow. Keep the club head moving, and what happens happens there, and always work on the short game.
Well, hey, for our listeners, that's good advice, because Tripp is one of the best out there, and that swing is so fluent. And man, he can get it up and down from the ball washer. Steve, what would you say? What's your best advice?
Well, let me give a kudos to Tripp. I've been watching this swing ever since I was 15 years old. So his swing has never changed. It is all about tempo. And I agree, compression on the ball, like Tim was talking about earlier before we went on live on air. If you get your tempo and your compression of the ball, I think you could really have a really good round. But what I would say is, going back to the technology, I'm playing AP2s back in 2008. And I hit the ball pretty good, probably in the mid upper 70s, but I'm due for some new irons, boys. I need to get some new irons, maybe with or without graphite, but I'm going to probably make that purchase here pretty soon.
Okay, well, so I don't know. You answered the question, Steve. What's the best advice you've ever gotten? I mean, that's some good philosophy, but what's the best advice you've ever gotten from a pro, or a tip from Trip or Tim, whatever? What would you say?
Well, I would say it's tempo.
Okay, who gave you that tip? Was it just a fellow person, or just
no,
anybody?
Believe it or not, when I was 17 years old on the practice range at Salisbury Country Club, the pro Mickey Gallagher gave me that tip.
Oh, that goes way back there. Dang, that's good. All right, Tim, what do you say? What's the best advice you've received out there in the golf world?
Well, I think it's your swing is your swing, and we all try to emulate the tour players, but as you can see, even on the tour, there's a wide variety of swings, and I think you have to find your own swing, and it doesn't have to look like Trip or yours or Steve's, but it has to be within your frame of what's comfortable. And I've got a little bit of a handicap getting to my left side, so I've had to learn how to get over to my left side. And again, it might not be the way the tour players do it or look, but it's the way it works for me. So I think play within your realm and try to hit the ball like you're hitting it 100 yards. It's amazing how you'll hit it every bit as far as if you try to really go after it. Solid contact is key. And I think that's a great thing to remember, is you don't have to always try to kill it.
That's good advice. Okay, we're going to shift to the most amazing golf course you've ever played. So I'm going to give it to whoever has that golf course on the top of their mind. What's the most amazing golf course you've ever played? Trip, you want to start? Because it looks like you guys
we've always had a love for Mount Mitchell's golf course, both because of the scenery and just FYI, it recently is sold. So there's going to be a new owners next year. It'll be interesting to see what they do on the upgrades and stuff. But, it's definitely in God's country down there in the valley below the Black Mountains. So you're looking up those 6,600 foot peaks. You got the South Toe River running through it. So the walk in the woods feel to me on any course is the scenery, and is half of it to me. And so, I always put Mount Mitchell up there.
I remember, Trip, when we played in a tournament there, the fastest greens, and man, that course, I tell probably more, or at least, yeah, more than I did Pebble when I played, because that was just one time. I mean, we played a dozen times at Mount Mitchell. I don't think there's a finer mountain course around because of the layout and like you said, the stream and the mountain look. So I'd have to agree with you. Steve, what would you say? I think I know what you're going to say, but go ahead and tell everybody so we can be jealous.
Well, honestly, locally, I just.
I'm not saying locally. I'm saying the most amazing golf course. You better say what I'm thinking, or I'm going to cut you off and go on to Tim.
Let me put it this way. The course I'm about to tell you I played, probably 0.00001 of 1% have played it in the world. And I was fortunate enough to play Augusta National in Augusta, Georgia.
I love that. Well, it just gets us excited. Yeah, Tim, I'll agree with you on that one. I'll just roll out the whatever that is. But yeah, that's on my list, and I know that was a fun time. Tim, what would you say is your most amazing golf course?
Well, it's hard. You get about 5 of them right up in the top. But recently, I had the pleasure of going out to California, Palm Springs, and I played the PGA West 2 weeks before the American Express Cup was there, or American Express tournament was there. Wow. Never really played a desert course as nice as this one. You can imagine the challenges with the PGA playing there in 2 weeks. The greens were running super fast. Probably one of the most, scenic, because you're staring at these mountains that are 12,000 feet around you, but you're playing at sea level. And it was truly amazing courses. Of course, that's kind of like a little Myrtle Beach there. It's probably 50 courses in that little area, but incredible golf courses out there.
Oh, wow. That sounds good. All right. Now we're going to go to the most, when it comes to playing golf, we know that getting around with some A-listers are pretty cool. So Trip, what would you say the most popular or best person you've ever played around a golf with, besides the people in this foursome here? The most well-known and somebody our listeners would love to hear.
Oh boy. It would be a lot of the local pros around the Asheville area, legends like Bill Cricken, Les Stradley. Bill played in the U.S. Senior Open. They were instrumental in, a lot of us here in Asheville getting into golf and helping us out. But they're probably not as well known for listeners out of Western North Carolina, but they're great guys, and they played quite a few matches with senior players. When Ben Wright was up here, he had arranged quite a few matches, and they were a lot of fun. He brought in a lot of big name pros, and Les played in them. And he had people like Greg Norman show up, and then he had some good senior players also.
That's awesome. Hey, Steve, what do you think? Who's the best personality you've ever played with out there in the golf course?
Well, about 20 years ago, I was working for the company that sponsored the Senior PGA Tour, and I played with Dale Douglas from the Senior Tour. Now that's a long time ago. Jim Faree, another one, I believe it was Roger Maltby, who recently got let go at NBC. Yeah, and we played about 6 or 7 holes with each of those guys, and it was an experience. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that sounds really good. Tim, who would you say is your personality that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Well, in my career in the hotel industry, we'd have a lot of golf tournaments, and we are fortunate to have celebrities show up, and a lot of football celebrities and these type of players. But one time we had Arnold Palmer there, and he played one hole with every group. So he played the par 3 with every group that came by. And funny story is Arnie went to Wake Forest, and his roommate, our Trip and I, our father knew. And I made a reference to my dad being his age, and I think Dad was a few years older than Arnie, and he didn't like that. And Arnie hit that little fade in there at about 180 yards on this par 3 to about 6 feet and lipped out a birdie. So I think he parred that hole a lot with foursomes, but what a great gentleman Arnold Palmer was.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I met him one time in a senior tournament, and he was trying to hit over the corner of trees, and he caught the tree, and he had some funny things to say, and just a personality plus. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you as far as, yeah, I would have liked to have played him more than just a conversation with him one time. Yeah. All right, let's get down to golf gear. Okay, so if you had to say, like, there's one piece of golf gear that you can't do without, what would you share with our listeners? What would that piece of gear be? Anything in particular, Trip?
I'm real happy with my Odyssey 2-line putter. Yeah, I was a blade guy for years, and now I've gone to, a little mallet style with the wings. And, as you get older, you need a little more weight, I believe. But yeah, I think that's very, very helpful. And like Steve was saying about, getting some new technology on the irons, some of these game improvement irons. I mean, I hit some of those and I'm amazed at what they're doing. And, even the low handicappers can use those things. And so, and then, of course, I'd like to look at new wedges also.
Awesome. Steve, what would you say? What piece of gear could you not do without up there in Rock Hill?
Well, for years, my short game's been pretty good, but I really enjoy that 7-iron. I can work that thing right to left, hit a knockdown or a high flyer. It just, it's always been my key club in my bag. So I would say the 7-iron is my key club to use.
Awesome. Hey, before I go to Tim, what's that picture behind you there? What hole is that? Right behind you.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
That's number 16 at Augusta National.
Ooh, wow.
It's actually a painting.
I bet he birdied it.
Now I parred it. I hit the green though, 2-putted. I was below the hole about 30 feet and it ended up short.
Wow. How fast were those greens, Steve?
Normally in tournament play, they play about a 12, but I think they're running about a 10.5 that day I played. It was in December 7th in 2016.
Wow. So Tim, what piece of gear would you say you can't live without on the golf course?
Well, I think it is experimenting with your wedges. Recently, I've kind of gone from the new irons. By the way, a wedge is like a 44 loft, so they're really making them a lot further. So when you buy new irons, you're going to be hitting there trying to find your distance again because they change. But I think these gap wedges have what kind of helped my game a lot. I used a traditional wedge for about everything when I was younger, including sand shots and learning the 56 and the 54s. 60 is just too much loft for me the way I hit it, but I've really learned to love my 54 for getting out of trouble, kind of having to come straight up and down at it. So I think that's helped me shave some points locally around the greens.
Awesome. All right, now we're going to go to that best round you've ever had. Why don't you share with our listeners the best round you've ever had, a little bit about that round. So Trip, is this most recent at Grove Park or is this a different round?
It'd probably be a different round. It was probably over at the Muni. The thing I was probably most proud of was I didn't make a bogey. I had let's see, 14 pars and 4 birdies. So that was that was a good round for sure. And oh yeah, the Muni, Asheville Muni has been taken over by a new group in partnership with the city, and it looks like it's going to be spending 2 or 3 million plus on the course and doing a redo. It's been badly needed. Mm-hmm. And so some years we're going to have a good time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Back to the Muni.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played around where I didn't have any bogeys. So yeah, to play that consistent with no bogeys, hey, sheesh, that's around. Steve, what would you say? I remember down at Beechwood, was it down in Myrtle when the storm came in and you were a couple under and we were trying to get finished. I remember that round, but was there another one you? Yeah, it was a hurricane.
It was a hurricane. I was 2 under after 16, and the hurricane was we just had to go in. It was so bad. I would say about 4 or 5 years ago up here locally, played Waterford. I was shot 70, had a great round, had one bad shot and cost me 2 strokes. But it's amazing. You have one bad shot or 2 bad shots in a round, it's going to cost you 1, possibly 2 strokes. So you got to be really, really consistent. You can't let those bad holes get to you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good round. Tim, I can see you thinking there.
Yeah,
tell me.
It's funny, Pete.
I remember a tournament where you won 2 days of it. Was that a different round, or is there something else that you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, that was I think recently I had good partners, and we brother-in-law very well, but overall I hit it very well. But I've had a lot of good rounds. Hard to put 2 sides together where you get under par on 1-9 and kind of mentally blow it on the back. But I would like to brag about 2 people. One is you, Pete, and one is my mother. And both these rounds were played together in Atlanta. Pete shot a 31 on the front 9, and I've never seen someone hit irons that were literally, it looked like the minute he hit it, it was going in. And literally they were landing 2-3 feet and just tap in birdies. But also my mother was driving par 4s and literally hitting it over the green on par 4s. And this is in her probably 60s, 70s, driving it, still way past me, which was a freak of nature. But Pete got to see her out there hitting it, from the Reds tee. She might as well have been back on the Blues with us.
I told at least 150 people about the distance that your mom had. It was like no other that I've ever seen anybody even close to her age hit the ball that far. It was just it was a sight to see. I mean, I just remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah, that course is in Tucker. It's the one Julius Irving owned for a few years. And that was one of those days where everything clicked. What do you call it? The zone? Yeah, it was definitely a zone day.
I witnessed you in the zone that day, Pete. Unbelievable round of golf.
Yeah, you like to turn that on more often.
You bet.
So how can people, each one of you will put it in the show notes, but if you could share just how could people connect with you, that'll help our listeners to get back with you, because I know Asheville, and everybody's going to want to know the Browne brothers when they go up to Asheville. So just give us a little bit, and the rest of it we'll put in the show notes.
Who's first?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Trip. Is there anything we could maybe we can put it in the show notes. Are you available if somebody needs a little insight into Asheville golf?
Oh yeah. They can find me at Trip Browne at hotmail.com, 1P on Trip.
Okay.
Browne, and they might also find me at the Antique Car Museum at Grovewood Village.
Awesome. Tim, and then we'll go to my brother. Now, when you're not fighting off black bears at your house, how do we contact you? Provided we have, I guess, some kind of weapon to keep those black bears out of your house.
There you go. Well, we'll work on the black bears, but yeah, TCB 6800 at Yahoo. It'll be in the notes. But if anyone wants to contact me prior to coming, we'd love to show you around.
Awesome. Steve, what about there in Rock Hill, South Carolina? How can people get a hold of you?
Sure, you can get a hold of me anytime. I'm also I'm in recruiting, but also do a lot of career coaching. So if you ever need some help with where your career is going or where you would like it to go, you can always contact me at steve.kane at farmer1search.com. It's in the show notes there. I just sent it to everybody.
Awesome.
But yeah, love to hook up and maybe we can play some golf if you're in the area.
Oh yeah, there's some good courses there in Rock Hill. All right, so I know we got some busy guys on the phone and or on the podcast. I want to thank y'all for being the inaugural foursome of the golf podcast. It's an Atlanta podcast, but I had to bring in some ringers for this one. So Tim, Steve, Tripp, thank you so much. And we want to thank our listeners too for listening to this. And hey, we're going to be putting together other foursomes, so we hope to have you back real soon. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks,
Pete.
Pete.
Take care, everyone.
Good seeing you guys.